You're watching Men of Platinum presents Direct Hit. We're looking back on New Zealand's resounding win over Sri Lanka, which helps them all but book their place in the knockout rounds. We're in the company of Steve Harmison, who will help us pick the Man of Platinum from this contest. The player Steve picks will be the player that stood out for his indomitable spirit and unwavering values, just like Platinum. It will be quite the choice, given the kind of game New Zealand have had. Lots of Men of Platinum shining through. But before I get to that, I've got some questions from the game for you. Let's begin with Trent Boult. How good was he with the new ball today?
He was fantastic with the new ball. There was question marks going in because he hadn't got the wickets he would like in this competition with the new ball. I thought his display front up really put pressure on Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka never really recovered. I know Tom Latham dropped a catch, but I don't think Sri Lanka really recovered off that first initial burst from Trent Boult.
Rachin Ravindra continued his fine tournament, this time with ball first and then chipping in with the bat, adding more records to his list. You have to say, is he the find of the tournament? Absolutely,
100%. He is. He could be the find of the tournament. If New Zealand go on and win the tournament, he could be player of the tournament. He really has. He started against England and he's never looked back since. Gone past Sachin's record. He'll break a lot of records if he does go on and be playing the semi-final and final. He bowled nicely today when that fifth bowler or that fifth allotted 10 overs. It could be an issue for New Zealand. He comes handy there, and the way he attacks the power play at the top of the order, he has been really a big find for New Zealand.
This game also saw the first time New Zealand had their full roster available. Was this New Zealand's strongest 11?
New Zealand's strongest 11, and you'd say is one of New Zealand's strongest performances. They're happy going into the semi-final with a fully fit squad, happy going into the semi-final with a game like they've had against Sri Lanka, which was not too taxing on the body. The bowlers got their 10 overs in a comfortable manner, bowling a lot at the tail end where they didn't really have to exert themselves as much. And the batters, it was a nice little hit out in the middle, and other than Madushanka, nobody really from the Sri Lankan side put them under pressure. So from that point of view, not only was it their best side that got out, I think it was as good a performance they can have leading into the knockout stage.
Sri Lanka's campaign ends with 7 defeats out of 9. That's the most losses they've had in a single edition of the Men's ODI World Cup. But when they look back at it, what will they take as the big positives?
Madushanka is probably the biggest positive. They've had a lot of players who've scored runs in the tournament, but they haven't had a lot of consistency where 2 players or 3 players have scored runs in the same game to affect the game in such a way where they put themselves in a winning position. Without Madushanka, and this tournament could have been a hell of a lot worse. There will be question marks over Chris Silverwood. There will be question marks over the captain who left after 2 games. Shanka left after 2 games. So it just depends on the board, and sometimes when boards change, they bring their own team in, i.e. captain and coach. I would urge the Sri Lankans not to go too gung-ho, because this team went largely down to winning the Asia Cup. This team qualified for the tournament out in Harare. They were building a nice little platform for a young side going forward. The problem is, if they don't get top 8, then the next World Tournament is in 4 years' time. They might think it's time to make a change.
Right. For New Zealand, the semi-final spot all but secured. It's going to take a mathematical miracle for them to not make it, and it would need England to tank real bad against Pakistan for that to happen. But India likely to face them at Wankhede. What is India's biggest challenge or threat when they come up against New Zealand?
There's quite a few threats from New Zealand. Experience that the New Zealand have. They don't think they'll wilter under pressure. They've got a lot of IPL players in this New Zealand side. They've got a lot of players who have played, obviously, a lot of cricket, IPL, but in India itself. And they've got players who have played in knockouts of big tournaments, ICC events, in T20 event, and in 50-over events. So I don't think the actual game will overawe New Zealand. The challenge for India is, can they put pressure on one of the 4 out-and-out bowlers that New Zealand have got, to make sure that, because I think the weakness from a New Zealand point of view is their last 10 overs. They make up 10 overs. And if India can put pressure on one of the big 4, Saudi, Boult, Ferguson or Santner, then it makes Ravindra, Phillips, possibly Chapman, have to bowl that little bit more, and that's where India might be able to capitalise.
All right, the time for judgment is here. It's time for Steve Harmison to pick his man of platinum from New Zealand's victory over Sri Lanka. You have a few choices. Who are you going with?
I went with Trent Boult. For simply, there's a lot of questions before the game about his power play bowling and not getting the wickets. I don't think he's bowled badly in the power play, just hasn't picked up wickets. That can happen. But I thought his lengths were brilliant. I thought his ability to swing the ball and use the bouncer against a side like Sri Lanka, I thought was first class. And he set the game up. The game was set up in that early initial burst between Boult and Southey, and it really put, obviously, Sri Lanka under pressure. His 3 wickets in 3 for 37 in 10 overs got him player of the match. For me, he's the man of platinum.
Yeah, and resilience and perseverance, they're values we speak of when we talk of platinum, and it holds true to just the point you say, because Trent Boult has had it tough in this World Cup. I think he only had 3 wickets in the power play, and he's in general had it tough bowling in India in ODIs, and it takes that resilience and perseverance, especially on such a big day, to turn up and just prove those numbers wrong.
Well, he's not got the numbers he's got in his career, but if he's not he's got a bit of character and he's got a bit about him. He is a phenomenal performer, especially on the big stage. And for me, that's where New Zealand will be. We are holding hope that he's coming into form just at the right time. Not played a lot of 50-over cricket, and I think you could see that at times in the tournament. But if there's a game to go into the knockout, a game to go into a semi-final against India and the Wankhede, it was a perfect run out for Trent Boult today.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, Steve Harmison. Trent Boult has been the platinum standard of bowling in recent editions of the Men's ODI World Cup. How good news is it for New Zealand that they have him shining right as they enter the knockouts? This is it from us. Thank you for watching. Men of Platinum presents Direct Hit.